All right, good morning, guys. On this rainy Sunday, yet again, thunderstorms for the celebration of the July 4th weekend, which is actually on Monday this year. It is July 3rd. It is 11:41, and I am doing the show. I almost didn't do it because I woke up early this morning. I got a few things done, and I went back to bed and fell asleep. So this is what you get today, man. The lighting is what it is, but we have the comics and stuff, right? And so now we're going to do that part of the show where we kind of stall letting people get in here because I have some pretty good stuff to show, in my opinion, and stuff, right? So last month we did not go to Heroes Con, and I went through all of that, but I ended up seeing Everclear, 90s band, in concert with a band called Fastball that I have no memory of from the 90s. Heard one or two songs, thought it was the Rembrandts. But anyway, great show. And actually was able to partake in a little ale while I was there a little bit, see 3 or 4 people that I knew and everything. And where I didn't go to Heroes Con, that was actually sort of a blessing in disguise because I took that budget and I took the money that I would have spent on gas. And I've been playing around on eBay and my comic shop in 1 or 2 places around here and ended up picking up quite a few things and found some sales going on. Like I would say they were like widespread sales, but I found some books discounted. That's probably a better way to put it. Like on Amazon and my comic shop and stuff. And I got some very satisfying stuff, right? And you guys know that I get a little heavy when I think about the actual hobby of comics more than the comics sometimes. Oh, well, John Jones, I'm about to show you something. And if you have me on Instagram, you probably know what I'm going to show that's Elric related. I talk a lot about Michael Moorcock's Elric off and on over the years and stuff, right? So I hope you enjoy it. I think the first Elric proper book novel is a masterpiece. It's each chapter setting up that world and letting you get to know Elric is like each chapter is its own story until the actual story takes off. After that, it's a mixed bag. So anyway, but I get a little bit heavy talking about comics and stuff and things like that, but getting out and seeing people at these flea markets, seeing videos of people at cons and stuff, there is a little bit of this hobby of recapturing the childhood and stuff, right? If you've done this since you were a kid, this is your history. People can pull out their toys and their books, little journals, whatever, art, some depends what people takes care of. But I always feel like that I got to be more of a kid now than I was when I was an actual kid because of having responsibilities in the house and being the adult in the house there for a while due to having some very young parents and stuff, right? Yeah, you look back on these things and you rationalize, justify your eyes open. You have a kid, you become a proper parent, then you identify with the struggles and stuff that you didn't understand when you were a kid and stuff, right? But I think one of the greatest things really about this hobby that's sort of unspoken is this can be a soundtrack for your life. I've had plenty of videos going back to 2011, first one being a video called Reflections, uh, where I hold up books and I tell you what year I bought them and what was going on in my life and stuff like that. But I feel like I've sort of dodged a part of life that we have where you kind of go back and try to recapture the childhood because as you know with comics really went up in value when Vietnam hit and a lot of people had to turn around and come back home and find out if their parents or mother specifically had thrown out their stuff. Looks like we are having some issues here. Can you still hear me? My internet looks fine on the computer, but StreamYard is telling me I have 1 dot of internet of broadband. All right, I'm going to assume that I'm all right. So anyway, there's things going back. And then because what happened, if you go on my Instagram, when I was running some errands yesterday, I stopped at a card shop in a town about 30 minutes away from me. And I come in there and the guy had a Darth Vader case of the action figures. You know what I'm talking about. It's a bust of Darth Vader and it folds open and you can place your Star Wars figures in there. But this one was special because the figures in it were from the Star Wars Empire and Jedi era, the original trilogy, and it actually had an insert inside the Darth Vader case, and the insert was in the shape of the bust, and it fit in there perfectly. Just a thin piece of cardboard, but it had photos on both sides of it of the figures in the case. So when you open it up, it gave the illusion of you had it full of figures. And whoever had the case kept the insert and arranged the figures to match the insert. It's on my Instagram, Hallermouse Instagram. Go check it out. And this is what sort of got me thinking about what to talk about while I stall before we start showing everything. Oh, thanks, Breen. Breen says we can hear fine. Fantastic. It's a StreamYard issue on my end, but I think we've gotten past it. And I really feel like that I don't need to go out and buy the sports car. I don't feel like I need to go out and buy some older toys and stuff to get that feeling and stuff. This was enough. And revisiting this stuff a couple years, I have books and series that I have read, and I'm not exaggerating. I bet you anything I've read Watchmen over 100 times easily since 1988. When you consider how that's over, was it like 34, 35 years? That's not that much when you really think about it. Stuff that I have books I've read once, and I'm finding stuff that I can't remember if I read or not. And that's very cool. But you can look in though, and it's all right there. I can remember where I was at, what was going on, and I don't have to find those nostalgic feelings with a few things. Still hits every now and then, but not with comics. It amazes me. So the whole point is there's one or two comics in there I will talk about that were from my childhood that I thought I kept and found. And it just amazes me. A couple months ago, I found an old Batman book that I read as a kid. And a lot of the books in the house, I still had them, didn't have a cover, or they were coverless. And they didn't have, or they were missing the first page. So I didn't know what issue of Batman I was reading. And it was a Batman. It said Batman Special, but it turns out it was a proper Batman book, just oversized from the 60s and stuff, right? And it had some Clayface stories in it, and one of them, Clayface is in a cave where he finds the fountain that gives him his powers. It was 3 panels, but in my head, what is going on? But in my head, that whole cavern, I had a whole different story in that cavern where I could smell it and stuff and saw it, and it wasn't in the book. That's what I find interesting. Going back and reading things from when you were a kid, finding out you should have wrote down what you thought it was because it's a better story than what you found. Okay. Daggone. Come on, StreamYard, get with it. I'm probably looking fine to you guys and look like an idiot sitting here like, fix. So we'll go ahead and jump on into some of the haul this month. Like I said, I'm pretty satisfied with what I found without even really trying this month. So basically got an Amazon, and John Jones, if you're watching, the next thing I show is going to be very cool. But one of the things that cracks me up about seeing people online sometimes is the talk of physical media like it has disappeared. Everybody can stream everything and stuff like that, and that's fine. That's great. I haven't touched my DVDs and Blu-rays in quite a while, my VHS collection, things like that. But there's going to come a day where you're going to get tired of paying for a streaming option that just doesn't have a lot to offer you. You've seen everything they have, or there's so many streaming apps you can get that everybody is taking back their stuff, right? Everything's not on Netflix anymore. You know what I mean? You got Paramount Plus, Disney Plus, Apple. This goes on and on. Everybody's taking back their properties, and you have to specifically see things. But then you're going to have, and it's a big thing for a rainy Sunday, you're going to have those storms when the internet goes out, guys. You're going to have the snowstorm, the internet goes out, guys, and hopefully your power doesn't go out. And you could read, or you can do other hobbies, or errands, or do whatever, but then you're going to have to be able to pull out things, right? So the Venture Brothers, a show that is very near and dear to me. I think it had 7 seasons, and it was time to pick back up and finish off the DVD set. So we're on season 5. What I'm excited about this, it says there's 2 bonus specials on here. There's 2 or 3 places to stream this, and it bounces around a little bit. I think it's been on Hulu, the Adult Swim app, which was free. It was there forever. And it seems like there was a 3rd place. That's over the course of a year and a half, right? There's no telling where it's landed. So yeah, I'm picking back up on this. So the Venture Brothers is just fantastic. Jackson Public and Doc Hammer. I used to complain about how long it would take. Of course, it's been canceled, and hopefully they'll bring it back to HBO Max to finish it off. I heard there's going to be like a massive movie or something, but I heard that years ago. So I don't know if it's coming back or not. But anyway, it's inspired by things like Johnny Quest and comic books. This was originally going to be a comic book, and things happened where it turned into a TV show, and massive amount of times would go by between seasons. And it's because these 2 guys are pretty much doing all the writing, storyboarding, and voices, and they're just doing everything in it. It pulls from comic books, just anything from pop culture, man. They'll have references that kind of go over your head. I kind of feel like if you like Mystery Science Theater with its references and things like that, this is more of a visual aid for you to find where the inspiration are and what they're LARPing and all that stuff, what they're making fun of. So I love my Venture Brothers. Now, right here, Elric, Stormbringer, Michael Moorcock. Like I said, guys, the lighting is what it is today, right? The Michael Moorcock Library. These are fantastic hardbacks put out by Titan Comics. The weight is fantastic. The binding is great. The covers are beautiful. And this is Stormbringer. This is the last story of the Elric series that they have. It's an adaptation. They have been adapting Elric stories going all the way back to, like, I think First Comics. I have them behind me if I wanted to pull them out. But throughout the 80s, Roy Thomas, Michael T. Gilbert, Craig Russell, all sorts of people, Epic Illustrated at Marvel. There were all sorts of adaptations of these coming out of each of the proper books of Elric. And the first one, of course, is Elric and Milibone. I think that's how you say it. And this is Stormbringer. This is the last one. There's a lot in between. And as I'm talking, I love this stuff, right? But here's all the collections they have picked up and have done proper. And here's where Titan Books has come in over the last few years. And I think they won an award or two, especially for the Ruby Thorn, where they've redone these. It's almost like it's updated and has more of a cinematic feel. Amazon has a pre-order of $54 for a $75 book set that's in a slipcase. I'm playing around with getting that and stuff, right? But anyway, they come back with all of these. This is the Stormbringer that came out in the 90s. Craig Russell, who I've met, and he's actually signed some of my Elric stuff. I'm trying to remember if I got him to sign some of my Sandman stuff. But he's a fantastic person. He spent 2 years doing this for Topps Comics. I believe it's where it was at. I had the individual comics and stuff, but this thing is just beautiful. I love the feel of the paper. I just love everything about this, the size, the weight. And this is going to be my reader copy because wouldn't you know it, Lester, for you guys that watch the show regularly and watch, I popped up 2-3 times on Jared Osborne's channel, returning to the Cavern of Chaos for an hour or so on it. Lester got a hold of this first thing, and I just got this the other day and read straight through it, set it down beside me in the floor, fell asleep because I'm an old man. And when I woke up, Lester had gotten it. So, yeah, we've already reordered it. It's $15 on Amazon right now, some change if you want to go ahead and get this, which is fantastic, right? Just fantastic. But I'm going to be getting more of these. I'm just going to be taking my time getting them. Maybe I'll get one once a month or something. Order them up. They look like they're between $20 and $30 on Amazon, from what I can tell. And I need to decide if I'm going to pull the trigger on the box set of the Titan Comics adaptations that are coming out. All those books are already out, but this is going to come in a slipcase with about 4 of the adaptations and stuff, right? Love my Elric stuff. You're either going to like it or you're not. That's why I will talk about Elric all day long if people wanted to, but I'm not really going to push it on people. You know, I feel like you need to check it out to see if you will like it. What do we got here? Man, we got all kinds of people here. Oh, all of my messages, all your comments just flew through here. Okay, we got Breen here. Gray Man is here. Good morning. Thank you. You guys let me know about it. I'm having StreamYard issues, not internet issues, so let me know. Comic Collector is here. Gratu is here. All right, what's going on, brother? Gray Man, as I said, was here. My housemate's name is Elric. The old man was a big Moorcock fan. That is fantastic. I would love to have had the name Elric. I'm not going to lie. If I'd only known. Gorvidal. I always preferred the moral ambiguity of Moorcock's Elric and Jerry Cornelius in the moral certainty of Lord of the Rings. Moorcock lived in Texas near Austin for several years. I heard about that. Didn't know if it was true or not. So now we get to some comics and stuff, right? So let's go back to Comic Can here. What I did is I ended up double dipping, right? I think this is the stack that I got for $5, except for the last issue. These are $5 books from a flea market. One of my errands is we have the bearded dragon. We have the cats. But now the nearest pet store is 30 miles away. So I had to go get some mealworms. And I treat my bearded dragon very well. Like, I'll give him a treat of the crickets. Let him hunt. Feel like he's a hunter. Not that I think lizards can feel anything. I don't know. That lizard brain, you never know. But right beside of the pet store, here we go, StreamYard. Right in front of the, right beside of the pet store is called Route 50. Is a flea market called Route 52 Flea Market, and it's a crapshoot when you go in there. They want it to be something big. They're trying to build something nice, but it's usually a waste of time. This time, not so much, but I spent $5 just because I was there. Double dipped a little bit. These are reading issues, right? So we have Superman, right? They went back to the volume 1 numbering after decades of rebooting it with John Byrne in the 80s, right? And they came up with Superman 666. They also had a Batman 666, things like that. So they played around with it, and Kurt Busiek, Walt Simonson came in and gave us this story. Now, it has been so long since I read this with this team of Walt Simonson and Kurt Busiek. Of course, there's going to be some quality there, right? But nothing really stood out in my head, whatever they had, there's these evil demonic characters pop up in Superman and stuff. It kind of cracks me up. Neil Gaiman actually did his first stories that for comics that he did. He fashioned a whole story that ended up becoming a Green Lantern story in Superman. He just had the image of what would happen to Superman with his super senses if he ended up in Alan Moore's hell that he played around with. Can't remember if it was the one in Sandman or the one that played around with the Swamp Thing. I'm going to say Swamp Thing off the top of my head. But anyway, I have that. But anyway, it's always this, there should be more of a contradiction there. You know what I mean? Like Superman, who is all about hope and all American and moral and stuff, and then sticking him in hell. It should be more of a contradiction. But I don't know. I don't think contradiction is what I'm trying to say. Like I said, for you guys popped in, I woke up and fell back asleep and decided to do this. Probably go back to sleep. So anyway, that's it. That's a reader's copy. Double dipped, but these are all $5. Now, Marvel Age books are cracking me up, right? I'm not raging against this idea, okay? Unless it's a proper preview issue where you order your comics, right? It's a catalog. I will say that's stupid if you think the real first appearance of Mike Morales, I've said it before, is in one of those these Marvel preview issues you found in your that comic shops would pre-order their books. But anyway, Marvel Age is a little bit different to me. If you get this and you think it's worth money, then you don't need to buy a movie. You just need to go ahead and bootleg yourself a bunch of movie trailers for your favorite movies. You don't need the movie. You can watch the trailer, right? But why is this big? This is between a $15 and $20 book, and I chuckled when I saw it. And I get these things cheap just to show that they're out there and how silly it is, I think, in my opinion, when it comes to this. But Marvel Age was a very cool book that you could get at comic shops for years, and they would have little interviews, checklists, things that were coming out. Come on, StreamYard, work with me, right? Very nostalgic. This is what put nostalgia on my mind. But I pick these up when I find them. This one just happened to be between a $15 and $20 book because we have Steve Englehart doing an interviewed by Kurt Busiek, by the way. This is probably like 85 or something, 1985, 84, 85, whatever. Steve Englehart talking about the Vision and Wanda miniseries, maxi series, 12 issues that was about to come out. Talks a little bit about his West Coast Avengers. I think it's more about the West Coast Avengers, to be honest with you. I just flipped through it. But you can see where I'm getting Wanda and Vision. But this was about the West Coast Avengers. But people are trying to say this is the real first appearance of One Shot. And this is why I think it's silly, man. It's telling you about the book. It's a trailer, giving you an idea what's coming, and you're getting samples of the art. To me, this isn't an appearance. You know what I mean? And I always have great Fred Himbeck 2-page strips in them that are fantastic. And then you never knew what you got. I'm the one, Rick Veitch had a miniseries come out through Epic that I think he still talks about. I never really read it. So I thought that was fun. And then we have the Marvel Age, and this is more of my line, Meet the Joes. Now, as a kid, and I have a little tin, a little round cookie tin, not very big, and out of everything that I had G.I. Joe, I probably have 4 or 5 figures left, right? Which is kind of sad. It wasn't real. I had 3 or 4 vehicles. I had my Zartan. There we go. I had my Zartan and his Swamp Skier and a few things. Collected my points off the back of the G.I. Joe cardboard points. They were worth anywhere from 1 to 5. They were like 1, 3, 5. You got enough points, you could order things that you could not find in stores for your G.I. Joes, right? So this is probably getting closer to 85 or 86, I'm thinking, 1986. And there's a whole new wave. It's like the last hurrah for the G.I. Joe figures and stuff, where we got to meet the new Joes that were coming out. They were a little bit on the nose by now. But the creamy white pages and stuff, Mike Zeck, the ultimate Punisher artist, in my opinion, Star Comics, things that were coming out. Yeah, these checklists are fun. John Byrne and Mike Mignola, Bill Mantlo had switched books, Alpha Flight and Thing. But these are fun. And then you get to read articles and things that were about to come out. Mutants Meet Beyonder and Secret Wars crossover, A Mutant Thanksgiving. A little bit better. Top 10 books there at the time. This is just fun stuff. And this was a great era to be collecting comics. I mean, let's face it. Because while that was going on, we were getting Crisis on Infinite Earths, and we were getting Secret Wars and Dark Knight Returns, and right around the corner is Watchmen, just all kinds of great things. The only shadow in that is that by December 1985, the first post-crisis book from DC would be Booster Gold #1. Anyway. So then we got the Fantastic Four. This could be a double dipping, but when you find a beautiful copy like this for nothing, but from 1979, I believe, Marv Wolfman, Keith Pollard, 199, we have a partial thing going up against Doctor Doom. And right around the corner is issue 200, and I need to get the issue 200. I've passed up Hulk 200. I think it was 200 I needed. And Fantastic Four 200 because the copy's just worn up to snuff, if you will. Oh, here we go. I just got more comments here, man. I love Marvel Age. This is the Sumerian. I was running out of room years ago and got rid of all my old copies of Wizard magazine, and sorry I did. Well, I still have mine, but they are a chore to find anything to do with. I pull out Marvel Age now and again to get those nostalgia feelings. Yes, nostalgic feelings. Here we go. Eric Breen. I still have my Mike Zeck Punisher poster from '86. Yes. Yes. Moorcock's wife is American. He likes Texas, even though he doesn't share its conservative politics. His books are popular in larger cities. Not surprising. He isn't as well known elsewhere here. Yeah. And I kind of like that, man. It's on one hand, I would love to see have Elric Mania hit TV shows and bury the Witcher series, which is obviously a ripoff of Elric and things like that. But then at the same time, it's kind of nice to see that it not rape, pillage, and gutted. You know what I mean? Like, keep it fresh. Not a lot of overexposure, if you will, right? But anyway, I love this era of Fantastic Four because when I was a kid, this is around 77, 78, 79, there was like Fantastic Four on Saturday mornings. The Fantastic Four books were all over the house. This was still a time where Dr. Doom could have shown up in any Marvel character's book and they would all freak out. Like he still had clout. I don't think they've handled Dr. Doom properly since 84 and 85, which is sad, even though he still has fans and he's had his own series here and there and everything like that. No, there was a time where Doom was bad news. When he showed up, you were just like, Spider-Man would have even been like, oh God, I don't know if I can do this today. You know, he was a force to be reckoned with, you know. So that's, the late 70s, just because I was there when I was a kid and I had all this stuff in the house, that was the time to get another double dipping, but I'll buy this all day long. Okay. Fantastic Four 296. Barry Windsor Smith cover. Of course, it's that 25th anniversary of Marvel cover. But there's something very satisfying for me with this book. I bought it off the rack. This is probably my third or fourth copy. This is one of the books that one of many books apparently that I will buy just to give it a home if it's in pretty good shape. Okay, take up space, right? But it's a Thing story. Now, when it comes to Marvel Comics proper, the classic Marvel, not what we have, not what we have today, but this was the one that, of course, Fantastic Four #1 started it all in the 60s, 61 with the Marvel. They brought in a bunch of people to come in here and finish off this anniversary book. From the vast pool of Marvel talent was drawn a handful of artists whose noble task it then became to commemorate 15 years of chronicling the exploits, the loves, and the lives of that most vulnerable vulnerable quartet, the Fantastic Four. So we have plotted by Jim Shooter and then scripted by Stan Lee, and they brought in all kinds of people: Barry Windsor Smith, Kerry Gamble, Ron Friends, Al Milgram, John Buscema, Mark Silvestre, a lot of Jory Ordway, Joe Sinnott, Bob Wiacek, Joe Rubenstein, Steve Lealoa, Klaus Janson, Vince Collada. And there's something very satisfying about this story. Now, when it comes to Marvel, a lot of people are like Spider-Man. Spider-Man is the figurehead for this company. All right. Well, that's fine. That's fine. He's most popular, right? But for me, for what the lightning in the bottle was for Marvel, the ultimate Marvel character for me was the Thing. And I feel like that should still be true. And I can give examples and stuff. I'll kind of throw out one or two there, right? But in the 50s, monster books were huge. The superhero thing had come and gone, and things were kind of shaky about people pulling the trigger. Are we going to do this or not? So an out that they had for the Fantastic Four wasn't that it was so much superheroes. They turned Ben Grimm into the Thing so they could say it's a monster book. They had that one monster book. And in doing that, we had the ultimate Marvel character where they have power, but it's a curse. It's human. They have feet of clay. He was a working class dude, the way he talked and everything, even though he was a pilot and stuff, right? He grew up on the streets. And you got the idea that it was a poor kid and stuff, right? Then all of a sudden, you have that sympathetic trait to him where he's a monster. He's trapped. He's a monster. Concrete even took that concept and went its own way with it. But to me, that's the thing about Marvel. You would have powers, but there would be a cost, personal, physically, or both, and everything. So of course he ended up falling in love with Alicia, but he can't really touch her and stuff. She's so fragile and he's so strong and he's a monster. So he's had waves of depression and soul searching and things. And we come all the way back to that. And that's probably why I think this anniversary issue is perfect, because even though he helped someone, he's still hated. You thought the mutants were the first ones to get that. But there's just so much emotion in Winsor Smith's opening here that gets you right in the mindset of what this is about. But anyway, yes, to me, the ultimate Marvel character for what Marvel should be and used to be is Ben Grimm, right? Now, I've talked about this a lot. I double dipped this one just so that I can stick it on the shelf, and I'll probably try to find the DNA Agents book that goes with this, right? But this is a treat of all things, right? We have Marv Wolfman, Steve Rude, and Perez on here, right? Tales of the Teen Titans, number 48, versus the Recombatants. Well, I've never heard of the Recombatants. It's okay, because this is one of those secret crossover in books that was just fun. What we have here is Marv Wolfman getting with Mark Evanier. Mark Evanier had a book called DNA Agents. I'm not going to dig through my Titans box to find the DNA agent stuff, right? But you get told the same story twice, okay? And in the Titans book right here, you get to see this story where they engage with the Recombatants through their eyes. But if you get the DNA agent story that came out around the same time, you get the same story from the DNA agents with thinly veiled versions of the Titans in their book, right? So this thing was just fun. Steve Rude is always a freaking joy. He was big on Nexus at the time. Sure, he had done some other stuff, right? But like I said, we get some Steve Rude art, a little bit of Perez in here. And as they find the Recombatants, these guys are thinly veiled versions of the DNA agents. It's just enough of a wink and a nudge for you to get it. This is fantastic. At the time, I thought it was really cool when I figured it out. It was several years later after I bought this off the rack that I finally found that DNA Agents and was like, oh, and I'm sure it was either by word of mouth at a comic book shop or probably some article or something somewhere I discovered it. I didn't figure it out on my own. So when I finally was able to acquire that issue, it was very cool to find out about. So there you go. Oh, look at this fantastic. I forgot to show this. There's the front. This is just fantastic. That is the Fantastic Four front and proper. Will we ever see that in a movie? I don't know. I don't know. Okay. So, of course, I had to pass this up. I don't know. I didn't count the books up. These were all like $5. So this is less than $1. But a beautiful copy of Defenders number 24 from that great Bronze Age, 1975. Creamy colors. Just fantastic stuff, man. I could not believe I found that in there for nothing. I'm always picking up Defenders. I'm more of a fan of probably the first. I can never make up my mind. It's either the first 30 issues, then I can go up to 50 sometimes because they brought in Keith Giffen there for a little bit. And I had to get this because Dark Horse Star Wars comics, it seems like they were super hot there for a while. But then, who knows? I saw boxes of them around 2010 that you couldn't get rid of. And to be honest with them, they're not all gold, but but as time has gone by and we've seen what they can do with Star Wars, and you end up appreciating the work that Dark Horse actually did when you see it all together. They actually had an entire universe they had built on with a chronologically correct. They actually had a timeline and all kinds of things that made it make sense. I'm trying to avoid one certain word, but we'll just move on. But anyway, look how beautifully drawn that Chewbacca is. For a guy who the first time I may still have it, but I remember I bought the 3-pack of Star Wars 1, 2, and 3 for $1 in one of those $3 packs, Whitman or whatever, whoever put it out. When I was like, what was that? What would have been 5 or 6 years old? And Howard Chaykin, bless his heart, I think he would admit, him and Carmine Infantino would probably admit they didn't draw the best Chewbacca. But then we fast forward here to the 90s, and is that not beautiful? I'm like, that is a great Chewbacca. All right. Gorbadal, I'm assuming he's commenting on. Oh, yeah. Well, I just ruined that, didn't I? Okay. Talked about Fantastic Four. That's what made Ben and Alicia's story wonderfully painful. Yes. Ben Grimm would moan and moan and moan about being a monster, and every time he got this immunity back, he'd cry about losing his powers. Not only that, Gray Man, right? But do you remember like the era where he was actually cured? And what did they do? They made a Thing robot suit for him to wear. Yes. He ran around in a Thing armor suit where he looked exactly like the Thing. And I could go on. They've had other things. There was a theory there for a while that he's always been able to change back to human. He just didn't want to because Alicia loved him as the Thing, and she may not love him as Ben. And that was around the Secret Wars era there. Oh, why don't I use OBS? Because I tried to use OBS several years ago, and it would not connect up to, it wouldn't do what it was supposed to do. And then by that time, I had things going on that, this is just simpler. YouTube is something that I do for fun. If I got more serious about it, I'll probably try the OBS again. But the links would not hook up. The links for YouTube, whatever the YouTube link is that the OBS needed for whatever reason, would not work. We're going way back. When OBS, we're probably going back to like 2000, at least 18 or 17 when I tried OBS. So it's been several years. We're in a whole different decade now. Fantastic Four 169. We just did a retrospective of 168 to 170 on the Geeky Puppet Show. Go check that out, guys. Is that I'm not going to say, man, I don't want to like get my trivia wrong, but okay. So right here, what you see here is, yes, when it comes to me, like throwing out my hate for Booster Gold, that the hate is real, but on this channel, it's become sort of a jokey trademark, we get all dramatic about and stuff, right? But the other character that blows my mind became a thing is Squirrel Girl. To me, Squirrel Girl was, when it comes to like certain characters telling you the harbinger of the decade to come, I always sort of say that Cable was the harbinger of the 90s, even though Deadpool became the breakout star out of that, New Mutants and stuff, right? But then, of course, when it comes to Marvel really starting to lose it and comics sort of losing a little bit of credibility, I kind of think that Squirrel Girl, this is her first appearance, by the way, was that harbinger of things coming down, a little bit of integrity in seriousness that made the comics feel like they did not have stakes anymore. You know what I mean? It was sort of like you jumped the shark, you went camp, you did something, things that took away a little edge to it, a little tension. Things could be dangerous. And you bring in a character like Squirrel Girl, who's unbeatable, and have her beat Doctor Doom and have her beat Galactus and stuff like that. All for fun. I get it. Comics should be fun, but it really hurts your product in the long run. So why did you get this? Well, I got this because I've had it 3 times. The first time I found it was in a dollar box. Someone had these Marvel specials that were listed by season, and it was in there for like $1, so I wasn't about to pass it up. I flipped it. I think I have another one that's beat up. And then when I saw this, it has one little problem here. You can tell this was on a spinner rack. That's that little break there. And it was a good price, and it had been sitting there. I've been going back and forth to where this book is at for 4 or 5 months, maybe. And it's just been staring me in the face for a good price. I went, why not? So if anything, I can take the Mylar bag. Yeah. I could take the Mylar bag and put it on something else. If I get sick of it, I can flip it. But yeah, first appearance of Squirrel Girl. Yeah, there you go. Okay, so now there's a little bit more if you guys are in here, if you guys want to stick around. So we're going to come up to a very cool book, and I may have shown this, I don't know, right? But I found I had to track this down. This is one of those books I know I had. I don't know where it is. Maybe I accidentally got rid of it years ago. I don't know, but I cannot find it. But we have Uncanny Tales from the Grave, number 8. And this is one of those book stories that I remember reading the stories in the book, but I didn't know what book it was. Okay. So there's 2 tales in this that grabbed me as a kid. I looked for the first one I'm about to show you for years because I thought it was in a DC comic. I was going through House of Mystery, House of Secrets, Tales of the Unexpected, oversized issues, 100 issue, 100-page giants and stuff, trying to find it. And I actually did Google searches for it, and it didn't really pop up until a few years ago. So I'm going to show it to you. We showed this on the Cavern of Chaos. And it's got several stories in here. First one is Tin Cup, but this isn't the one. And Tin Cup is that morality story. These are some reprints from back in the day, right? This is from Uncanny Tales number 3, reprinted from it. But basically, it's the morality stories. It's the EC Comics roots of horror, the 50s, and maybe the Twilight Zone a little bit inspired era of these comics. But the thing about it is whenever people do anything that's against morality, anything that is evil, it comes back to get them, right? They say now that it's karma comes to get them. Well, karma doesn't. Technically, karma is when you're reborn, but instant karma, thanks to John Lennon singing about, is probably what people are thinking about, right? So anyway, this guy, it's the whole story about this guy, a beggar who has no legs, and he pushes himself around on a little piece of board with 4 roller skate wheels right here. But he does nothing but beg all day for change. He has a scar on his face and stuff, right? So there's some drama that goes on. He messes with the wrong people. That's probably a robber that comes on, and as he's chasing the robber and stuff, he turns around and gets hit by a train and really loses his legs and becomes that beggar. But here's the one. Here's the story I loved as a kid. And the fact that I would become Howler Mouse probably 17 years after reading this. I've had the Howler Mouse nickname since 1994. And it's Man with a Tail. And Paulo Costa, bless his heart, when I was on the Cavern of Chaos and showed this the day that it came in, or the day or 2 before it came in, he actually looked up who the artist was. If I had the ability to actually draw a comic professionally and stuff, I'm going to go ahead and tell you this is the kind of stuff I would want to do. This is the kind of art that I actually love. There's just certain kinds of art to me that is comic book art, and it's exactly what it is. But it's called Man with a Tail. And it's originally presented in Astonishing Tales number 18. And I love this. The editors guarantee that this is one of the most astonishing stories you've ever read. I may have to change the title of this from the Amazing Comic Book Call to the Astonishing one. But I just love this era, man, where everybody's a little bit slimy, and they got that Rat Pack feel to them from that era. You know what I mean? Like, it's not quite beatnik yet, but it's right around the corner, the way everybody's talking. But anyway, this guy's a huge pickpocket because he has a mouse tail. And I just love the wiry feel they get with him. I love the simple expressions on his face. I love the cigarette hanging out of his mouth, a little, But anyway, things go on. It shows his life. It shows him being like a wise guy. He's a little bit of a victim because he's so different. He just walks around all cocky all the time. And then he ends up seeing a girl on stage that had a cattail. And he's like, oh, wow. I even love how they got the lines on the back of our hose there, to be all classy and stuff, right? And you can see him like losing he's like, oh, yeah. So anyway, he gets back there, and I'll go ahead and spoil the story for you. But he gets back there, and he thinks they're going to be a couple and an item and stuff like that. And as she checks out his tail, turns out she has a cat tail. She's looking him up and down, and she ends up killing him because he lives a life of crime. He's a crook and a charlatan. And she kills him, explaining to him like, "Idiot, you should look closer. I have a cat tail. You have a mouse tail. We're mortal enemies." So that story has been in my head since 1977, folks. Took me forever to find it. Strangely enough, I remember this like yesterday. This is the story that made me a Steve, this mouse or a rat. A mouse or a rat. Could be either one. I'm prone to go towards mice because I think rats are disgusting. He could have been a rat. No problem. Hey, Rob Ripa. All right, Rob Ripa. Rob and I go way back when it comes to YouTube, so I'm so glad you're here. And yep, that ended badly for everybody. But this is a great underrated Steve Ditko. This not Spider-Man number like 13 and 14, and not Captain Atom, not all these other Ditko books that I read stuff. This is the story, the non-superhero story that I read as a kid that made me a Ditko fan. This is the one that made me open my eyes a little bit. Like, is that Peter Parker? Is this the dude that drew those and stuff? And this could have been a fantastic Twilight Zone story. But it's this panel right here. This panel right here is the one that made me a Ditko fan. I'm a Kirby fan. I actually have it in a pecking order, of how it goes down. But it's called Toy Soldiers. And this is actually written by Stan Lee in the 60s with a little kid that looks like Peter Parker. So I kind of, in my head, like to pretend this is a Peter Parker story, right? It even looks like Uncle, even though it's got his parents here when they were alive. So this is before he went to Uncle Ben and Aunt May, in my opinion. I'm acting like this is continuity. It's not. But anyway, kid has a thing about these toy soldiers, his little toys. His parents are telling him going to bed. And it just so happens, if you've watched Time Bandits, this makes perfect sense. But in his room, apparently, is where he just happens to be the soft spot that a race of I like to think Buckaroo Banzai villains are coming in, where it's his room where aliens can cross over from a dimension. And this image that Steve Ditko drew back in the freaking 60s, Tales of Astonished number 18, whatever that came out, that did it for me. The blacks in the face, the simplicity of it, the little background, minor detail, just enough to let you know where you're in the kids' room, that blue against the yellow. And then look at that face, those heavy blacks in the face in the costume, and him crossing through a dimension in the 60s. Fantastic stuff, right? For Peter Parker. So anyway, things happen in this, Ditko. This is just great Ditko stuff. The storytelling of this, the mood that is set, the simplicity of it. I mean, it's no wonder there are Steve Ditko nuts that just carry on his stuff. He knew when to do a silhouette. And when they wake up the next morning, everything's fine. And he doesn't know where the alien went or what really happened. But he looks in his play set for his toy figures, and well, they're standing sentinel with the little alien in their, in their jail cell in his play set. Tell me a little kid would not love that. I still think it's cool. All right. So yeah, that's what we do here. We find those little simple stories that are entertaining and very good, and I'm so glad when they hold up from when I was a little kid. All right, so another little thing that I got here was Mandrick the Magician, and I cannot remember where I got this. Oh, I got this while I was traveling for work, and it happened to be a little antique shop that just opened up, and these were less than $1. He had a ton of Archie comics from the late 60s. A bunch of other stuff. So I got the book that was in the best shape, considering they had been in a cardboard box probably since 1969. King Comics is something that I want to pursue. Something about this company putting out Flash Gordon and the Mandrake and the strips. I'm sure so what else they have, but I've been slowly getting fascinated by King Comics for some reason, wanting more of them. I have quite a few of the Flash Gordons over the years, but I don't know. There's just a charm to them now that I'm older. Probably that Casper stuff and everything, right? Okay, every kid under 10 should see Time Bandits, such a radical film. I've never seen that Ditko story. I wonder if it's a variation of H.C. Anderson's 10 Soldiers. I have to find a copy. It's funny you say that because one of the reasons when I would try to find this story is I thought it was called 10 Soldiers, not Toy Soldiers. Like I said, I had to play around with it here and there whenever it would pop in my brain to track it down with my 5 and 6 year old memory of the stories, right? So now here's something that was actually a treat, right? I'm just going to pull it and I'll be able to see it. But I think some of you guys out there are going to recognize this. Okay, so I probably had half of this series, and full disclosure, I probably have not read the issues of Hepcats that I carried around and stuff probably since, we'll conservatively say between 1999 and 2001. So this is a series that I feel confident is going to hold up as I go back and do my rereads. Oh, the Gray Man is into Mandarin too, right? Okay, so let me fix a few things here so we don't have a major disaster here. But I've had probably about the same, we'll say 7 issues of Hepcats. Hepcats, let me get this out of the way. Hepcats actually came out around 1989, and it was 12 issues, and it was sporadic how it came out, self-publishing, highly influenced by Cerebus. And when I was actually doing a little bit of research to see any updates, seeing if there was going to be a trade or where Martin Wagner was with it, if he fulfilled any promises. He used to have a Kickstarter for a few things, and right? I wanted to see where things were now, right? I found an article where Palmer's Picks, Tom Palmer Jr. used to have an article in Wizard magazine where it would show his picks. I'm pretty sure he used to have a website. It's probably still going on because I found it. And he hyped up Hepcats, and there was actually a Wizard article. This thing had a buzz for a little bit. And then I found an article written, I guess, a couple months ago or something, where Palmer's Picks is like really kind of down on Martin Wagner a little bit because of all his failed promises. And so Tom Palmer Jr. apparently has followed this series from the get-go, and after 30 years is sort of like screw this guy. I don't know that's what he's saying. But what got me is in the middle of his article, he had posted, somebody had put a link up, and I think it was Tom Palmer Jr.'s article on a blog, whatever it is, blog, it's on the internet. Let me be clear, there's a Wizard magazine article from probably around 93 or 94 or something, and then we zoom up to, like, we'll say 2016 or something, and he's still talking about it online. But anyway, one of the articles I found, they had a cartoonist kayfabe video right in the middle of the article. I don't watch cartoonist kayfabe, not because I don't like them or anything like that. It's just a lot of the stuff that they did on their channel, at least up till in their beginning. The OG crew here on YouTube of comic book guys and stuff, we'd already done and talked about everything they were showing, and some people were a bit better than what I was seeing. I just already seen it, right? I always have to clarify that because I do have people will send me weird messages wherever they can find me online to be like, don't you dare talk about cartoonist kayfabe. No, they're fine. They're good. But anyway, they had covered Hepcats. So instead of me talking about Hepcats, jump over there and see what they have to say about it. But for me, my experience about it is it's going to be very interesting to get this. like I said, I think I've said I had the same 7 issues I've read over and over. Snowblind was a major little story in this, but it was only 12 issues. Self-published. If you're sort of into Cerebus and that kind of stuff, those 80s indies and stuff, this is at the tail end of it, but this one was acclaimed. 12 issues, and then in the later 90s, the 12 issues were reprinted with new covers by Antarctic Press, and that's probably what this mix is, right? Because I found for $3, I found all of them on eBay for $3 with like $3.95 shipping or something. They came in. I got the number 1. Okay, this is the Antarctic Press number 1 off of My Comic Shop number 1, because it was not clear in the auction if he had a number 1 in here. It wasn't. He said it was 2-0 and then 2 through 12 in the title, but you read the description. He said it was the full run. So I just went ahead and got a number 1, and I'm glad I did. All right, I needed it anyway. So as you see, this is the second printing from Antarctic Press years later. I think the first one came out in like 89 or something. But what I like about this is that it's the sheer honesty that's in Hepcats. It's brutal humanity and slice of life stuff, sex, drugs, rock and roll, whatever. Of a college kid starts out with a college kid's daydreaming, and there's some very bad stuff that happens to some of these characters, but they have these funny animal heads to lighten it up and everything. But it's the sheer honesty. I'm gonna go ahead and show it to you, man. The sheer honesty that's in this, right? And a lot of the stuff could probably be jarring to the audience now, but from the era that I'm from, this is not a big deal. But it gave those indie books that taboo feeling. You know what I mean? The themes of sexuality and maturity and thing, right? So here's a bunch of college kids. He's sitting in a class at college. It kind of reminds me of Friends before there were friends and stuff, right? But anyway, the whole thing is it's him sitting there bored in the first issue, listening to a lecture in class and doodling. He sees the girl down there, and I think I'll be all right showing this, right? So he sits down there, he looks down the aisle, and he sees a girl. And as he's there, he looks at the girl in clothes and he imagines her naked. And then it goes into a little bit of an artistic, it's just them alone. And he's dreaming of an adventure to find her, to save her. He's daydreaming, fighting off people. And of course, after he saves her in his daydream and all that stuff, they're going to make mad, passionate love and stuff. And then he's woke up into the real world and stuff, right? See, this is what I'm trying to get. There's a brutal honesty to this that gives the slice of life a lot of weight. There are things in here that you probably would not share with your friends that you do because it's silly or maybe it's embarrassing for you or something like that. But we get a lot of that in here, right? So it's going to be great to be able to go through and read all of these in one setting instead of sporadically over years. But they bitch and moan and complain about grades and girls and relationships. And like I said, as they get older, things take a bit more of a serious turn. And like I said, the artwork is fantastic in these. An all sideways issue. But anyway, I think so it's going to be great to just sit down and be able to look at these. I mean, I see a lot of influence like on Strangers in Paradise, and I can see that 80s indie stuff in here. But, black and white comics and stuff, great stuff. But yeah, I've got the whole run. A lot of them are doubles. It's a mix of the original run with the Antarctic Press. And like I said, it got some critical acclaim with a story of a 3-part story. I think it was a 3-part story named Hepcats. So hopefully I'll be able to talk about it. I'm pretty sure these are the Antarctic reprints on these last two. Or maybe not. I don't know. I'll get through there and look at them. So anyway, on this one, it says mature themes and content not intended for young children. So isn't that amazing? You have this big black cover with a black imprint inside of it, and in tiny little fine letters, they're warning you not to let your kids read it. Yeah, they were trying really hard, weren't they? I guess that's Martin Wagner. But like I say, he's a little bit of an enigma. He has this is Cerebus influenced right here with the pictures on the back. This is what Dave Sim did on the back of Cerebus. So yeah, Hepcats, nice 80s indie stuff, accessible, cheap, highly acclaimed, and apparently it's pissed its fans off over the year over nothing else coming out. Little distraction here. Hey, I have that one. I wanted to get the rest too, but never see them. Mandrake. Yeah, I mean that's what I mean. King Comics, I never see them, but when you find them, it's like a little treat, Lee Falk's the fandom, absolutely. So here's the last of the batch, and like I said, let's put this to the side. Now, like I said, if there's 3 things that it feels like would define me, like where I've been shape molded by comics, if it's possible to have that happen to you over the years and my taste and stuff. But there's several comics that like just I feel like that they would help define me. You know what I mean? Like, to know me, you need to know I like these characters. Jack Kirby's Commandy, that post-apocalyptic stuff. Black Adam, the character, which if you had told me in 1980, when I was 7 years old, when I was seeing him on, I think it was 80, 81, when I was seeing the Filmation cartoons on a Saturday morning show called Hero High, where Black Adam was fighting the Marvel family, that's been a Black Adam fan ever since then. And yes, it's probably because of the black costume being timeless and cool, more the costume and the way he looked. The aesthetics is probably what pulled me in. If you had told me that he would have had a movie coming out when I was getting close to the age of 50, I probably would have chuckled and laughed, or probably been like, why are they waiting when I'm so old? And then Commandy, Doom Patrol here is another one, Black Adam, and basically Starman. Those 4 books, if you want to talk about mainstream books, that's how you would pull me in, right? And this is from volume 5 of Doom Patrol. Okay, so this is finishing off the series. There's only 22 issues that came out, and this is the last one of those last books runs. Basically, I think it got canceled because 52 was right around the corner when DC 52 did the reboot and started everything at number 1. Doom Patrol, I'm pretty sure that's why it actually got canceled, because Doom Patrol Volume 5, they'd had two previous Doom Patrol books since then that came and went, and they were pretty bad. Oh man, you had the Vertigo. You had the Vertigo Doom Patrol book by Grant Morrison, which was a mainstream comic book by Paul Cooperberg and Steve Lytle, and then Eric Larson, and then I think Graham Nolan or somebody came in. That might be right. And then all of a sudden Grant Morrison came on, then it got absorbed into the Vertigo label, if you will. And that's just a classic run. That classic run by Grant Morrison of Doom Patrol defined them, got them attention. And it's one of those runs that's the shadow that haunts the Doom Patrol here, right? So then all of a sudden, John Byrne and Chris Claremont reunite on Justice League, believe it or not. If you haven't heard about that, there's a reason, because it was horrible. And it was actually an excuse to launch John Byrne's Doom Patrol book, which really didn't go anywhere. Then they had another Doom Patrol series come out. I think John Accardi wrote that one. It didn't go anywhere. But then all of a sudden, this one came out of the blue. Keith Giffen came on here. Travis Clark, I think's his name, the artist and stuff. And it sort of took everything that was Doom Patrol, all the 60s stuff and the 80s stuff, the Morrison stuff and everything. And it sort of felt like Grant Morrison did this thing where they popped up in Teen Titans with Jeff Johns a few years later. So don't get that confused. This is before that. Okay. But anyway, Keith Giffen took all the great things that were Doom Patrol and actually came up with this fantastic little run, this very underrated run. It's weird. It's superhero-y. It's fantastic, right? So there's only 22 issues of it, and I finally have all the issues I'm missing. Number 3, it's out of the way. Number 15, the Chief is back, and of course he's being the Chief. Number 10, this is actually something I'll probably do a video on in the future of the Doom Patrol run. Okay. And then Justice Society, America versus Justice Society. If you want to know about comic book history proper, things that happened in the Golden Age, Roy Thomas was very wordy with his All-Star Squadron and all the spinoffs and stuff. He felt like that all of those books from the Golden Age, all the companies that characters from other companies like Quality and stuff that DC had acquired over the years, he tried to take all those heroes and make all that continuity work. He would have essays inside of the books citing the comic book when it came out and how it fit in with the other ones. Seems like it was just a long process and journey for him and for love, because Roy Thomas probably has one of the finest Golden Age comic book collections I can ever that I would imagine, because he actually would go around his neighborhood, and he was always, probably since the 50s and stuff, maybe in early 60s, he would go around and he would just find this stuff and keep it and study it. So he's like a Golden Age connoisseur. That's why when it comes to Tomorrow Publishing, where they have Alter Ego comics and back issue, Mike Urey told me at a convention they have sort of a gentleman's agreement. Mike Urey will do from the 70s up, but Roy Thomas gets the 60s back because that's his thing, right? So anyway, Justice Society 1 through 4, America versus Justice Society. The plot is the Justice Society is brought up on treason again because Batman has died, and his journal has popped up, and it tells tales of things that All-Star Squadron did that were wrong. And to me, it feels like it's an excuse for Roy Thomas to have 4 issues just to go through all of the Golden Age of comics there. and put all the stories together and have them defend themselves. So he was able to take all these comic books that he had in his head, way pre-internet for you kids out there and everything like that. And he was always trying to, like I said, make a continuity with them. So if you're a reader, if you like a lot of words, if you like a lot of citations and things like that, this may be the series for you. Even I think the inside cover and the back cover is citing all the books and everything, right? Why did I have number one? Well, I've had 1 through 4. And then when I dug this out a couple months ago, my number 1, for some reason, had like a round circle that had penetrated the front cover. And you couldn't see it until you took it out of the bag. So I don't know if I have somewhere along the line, I have set something on it. And just wanted to have a mint copy. What we got here? For your information, Tim, don't forget Terry Moore's The Parker Girls comes out next month. I pre-ordered mine at a local comic shop yesterday. Oh, thanks you for the heads up. I completely forgot about that. Okay. Thank you, man. I appreciate that. Completely forgot about that. Hey, Eric Bree, my Sunday just got even better. My comic shop order is being delivered to my house. That's awesome. That is awesome. On a Sunday even. That is awesome. And then right here, I now have at least half of this series, right, of the 90s. I definitely have a full run from 1 to 20 and then sporadic after that and everything. But I'm on a bit of a mission without spending a lot of money. This is more for fun and taking my time. I don't have to have them all. But Sandman Mystery Theater, Matt Wagner, Guy Davis, and other people over the years, Steve Siegel, that came on this book and stuff. One of the finest so far series to come out of the 90s, even though it's under the Vertigo line. And I could almost kick myself for not getting this. If you're a fan of things like pulps like The Shadow, and things like that, this may be right up your alley. But this book takes place in the 30s, pre-war, World War II. And it's the Sandman returning to America proper, the Golden Age Sandman with the gas mask and the suit, keeping true to his pulp roots. He's returning from being in the Orient for years and things like that. And he's back in New York, and it's just like this fantastic soap opera-ish pulpy world where he takes on serial killers and cults and assassins and things like that in America and stuff. And it's very gritty and very real. You can smell the leaded gasoline in the air. You can hear the trains and the foghorn boats of the night, you know. It just feels like the 30s, man. I never was there. And of course it handles a few issues where they go to Chinatown, and it deals with sort of the racial stereotypes of the time. It acknowledges them, and then it has some taboo stuff for the 30s. They immerse you in this world so much that even if that's not how the 30s was, the grittiness of the art and everything puts you in the scene. Just fantastic stuff. But like I said, there's been an issue too I've read where I'm like, this could have been a Shadow story, and that's a good thing. Just fantastic stuff. All right. So we're going to get rid of Comic Cam. Uh-oh. There we are. And yeah, that's a little bit of the haul. Now, guys, I've got quite a few things coming in from eBay that I'm waiting on. I went a little crazy on eBay, but it's going to be things like Invaders Comics, some Infinity Incorporated, 1 or 2 keys. I got 1 major key in there, or at least for me and stuff, right? But what's going on with the collecting now is like I'm getting these books that I want. I'm actually kind of finding them cheap because, and I totally blame the speculation channels. Now, I know YouTube, when it comes to comic book collecting, is not the end-all be-all. Not every person who collects comic books out there is running to YouTube, you know what I mean, to see what's going on and stuff, right? But I actually did check out a Comic Tom video. They show up in my feed sometimes, which is fine, and I'll get curious. But the top 10 that they posted last night or Friday night or it was absolute garbage, in my opinion. And I've been able to get it like on eBay and a few other places and swoop in and get some better books, if that makes any sense. While everybody's reacting and having that fear of missing out, the FOMO, I guess is the term. It's the same old story that I've said that other collectors have done for years. I'm swooping in and getting this other stuff because everybody's looking over here. And that's fine. And then I want to slow down a little bit. There probably won't be a show next week because wedding anniversary weekend is up, right? Today I'm probably going to read, and I'm going to be looking up some things to do. Find a place for us to travel to, and probably book a room or something for the wedding anniversary. I'm very excited about it. What we got here? Got a lot of comments that just came in. Can't wait to hear about Breen's comic books for you guys. I know I read this, but yeah, my comic shop order came in. That's always awesome. Gray Man. All right, fantastic. Sumerian, Sandman Mystery Theater. I remember at a comic show, a guy had a full run in dollar box, and I decided to take a chance and got them. Couldn't stop reading them for days. Exactly. I'm taking my time getting them, but I mean, it would be real easy just to, bust a wad of money to get them all at once, and I think I would regret that. Oh, Paulo Costa, you not only came fashionably late, but I mentioned you earlier in the show for just a minute, helping me find an artist on that story from that horror book that I had from Marvel, where I had the guy with the mouse tail and the lady with the cat tail. So I think you were conjured up more than shown up. And Eric Breen, and you will see them Wednesday night at 8 on the Four Color Fossil Show on the Graphic Man channel. Another shameless plug. Plug away, Eric Breen, plug away. It's going to be a great. You guys need to see the opening or the little Star Trek video that Graphic Man has made, putting the faces of people who come on the comic show on the Graphic Man channel, the Fossil Show. He's been able to put their faces on some Star Trek characters, if you will, and I was very flattered with mine. It's on Instagram under Graphic Man. I've saved the little mini video, and I'm sure he'll show it at the beginning of the show. It was fantastic. Okay, guys, it is now 12:47. Apparently, we had a very good time today. Thanks for everybody that stuck around and watched this and everything. But it is time for me to get off here, and move on to other things. Try to get rid of this brain fog. Try to wake up. And everybody have an excellent weekend, an excellent excellent July 4th, man. Breen has plugged the Puppeteer channel and Four Color Fossils on Graphic Man channel. Go check those out. And thanks for everybody popping in, man. Like, subscribe, share the video, let people know we're here and we're alive. And other than that, be excellent to each other. Later.